Today on an all-new Dr. Phil.
You're aggressive and you're passive-aggressive, and the children pick up the tab for both of you. You say, get a lawyer. You declared this to be open warfare.
They have a mother who is poisoning them.
You have alienated these kids on your own.
How's that? I have not included my children in this divorce, have I?
I asked those two kids if they wanted a relationship with you to be standing on the other side of that door, and you're going to get a clear answer whether you've been erased or whether you haven't. So open the door. Today's going to be a changing day in your life. You've never had anybody working harder to bring you to the threshold of change than right now. Yesterday, Exes Libby and Brian didn't even make it past where I'm standing right now because I refused to allow them on stage. They were dead set on throwing each other under the bus and more interested in presenting stacks of evidence against each other than putting their children first. I did not think they were ready to have an honest conversation with me. Will that change today? I don't know, but here's what happened yesterday.
I've lived every day for the last 6 years in hell, having been abandoned by my kids. I've watched Libby teach these kids that I'm abusive, controlling, angry, but there's no evidence of that.
Brian constantly accuses me of alienating the children. It's his fault. Brian intimidates me and is bullying me. Brian has been physical. One time he pinned my oldest daughter, Anna, up against the wall and threw her out the door. I live in fear.
What do y'all think about what you're saying about each other?
It's hateful.
It's not accurate. There's a number of things on there that are not accurate. I pinned Anna against the wall.
Why are you keeping score so much? Why are you guys playing this tit-for-tat game if all you want is a unified family? I didn't hear you say or you say, what can I do different to come out with a different outcome? You guys can be right fighters or you can look for a solution. I'm going to give you guys a chance to think about that, and you will or you won't.
My dad's anger towards my mom consumes his life. When I stand up for my mom, he gets hostile and abusive.
Right now, I have no relationship with my dad. I haven't spoken to him in probably 6 months. My dad has basically excommunicated me from his life.
What do you think about what I had to say to them?
There's been years of this blame game and not taking responsibility for actions.
This has taken a toll on you, is it not?
Yeah. I grew up really close to my dad, and I haven't had a relationship with him for 7 years now.
Your mother is passive-aggressive. She's driving him nuts, and he goes for it every time. He's been physical with you.
Right.
And you.
One time, I met her at the door, wouldn't let her in the house.
I shoved past him, and he then pinned me up against the wall by my neck and then threw me out onto the concrete stairs.
But one time, I disobeyed him, and as I brushed past him to get out of the door, he punched me in the throat. I punched him in the chest.
Do either one of you think you're betraying your mother if you have a healthy relationship with your father?
Absolutely not.
Are you prepared to tell her you want to have a relationship with him if he behaves himself?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, did we catch how they spent their time?
Not very productively.
Let me see.
This is what you do with the kids. You bring them into all of this. He's just such a jerk and he won't cooperate, when in fact it's you that's not cooperating. Yet you twist it all around to the kids that I'm such an ass. So,
Brian,
so
you won't even
have
work
a
with me.
you're hostile, you're aggressive,
No.
and you have zero responsibility for anything that you do.
This is how they spent that time.
See, it's just one time and he's just such a jerk and
What?
he won't,
Come on.
He won't even.
You were fighting over where you live, a court order concerning the children's pickup times, you accusing her of bad-mouthing you. Tell me how that leads to unifying this family.
I'm to the point now, after all these years, that I'm just damn frustrated. I went from being, in her words, a phenomenal dad to being the family abuser overnight. For the
What do you want to happen?
I want my children to have a relationship with both of their parents and not feel guilty.
Have you sabotaged their relationship with him?
No,
You made it difficult for him to have visitation with
no, not at all.
him? So did you block communication with him for 6 months?
Yes.
How is that not sabotaging their relationship? He's still there without his children. He's still there feeling that his children are alienated from him. You play into her hands. You overshadow everything she does with your outrageous behavior. Both of you are doing really sabotaging things, and your kids are paying the price. Come on. Let's go out there and do something different. The kids are not here right now. I asked them to step out because I don't want them here right now. Now, I asked you a lot of questions back there about whether you've sabotaged this situation or not, and you said not intentionally, but you recognize changing schools and not telling their father they've changed schools is not a good thing, right?
Yeah, I told him, though. I let him know.
Let him know when? Before you moved them or after you moved them?
I believe the day before. It wasn't?
Not quite. You moved them twice and didn't tell me.
Okay.
Now, you sent us a lot of evidence. You sent us a lot of evidence. And you said, I have no idea what I can change. I said, if I show you some things, you're willing to change them, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Come with me. We're going to take a look at some things. And first, let's just take a look at her evidence. Now,
that, by the way, is not her evidence. Those are the police reports that are
this is what she
initiated
sent
by,
us.
Of course she did, but those are police reports initiated by this dad.
Yeah. Well, I want to focus on some of these things. Let's just pick a few of these things, and you tell me. I mean, let's start with this one. These are your text messages to her. Okay, you said, what can I do to change? Is this something you could change?
Absolutely.
So you said, I don't know what I could change, but this would be something you could change, right? You could stop sending her derogating text messages. You're a waste of breath and time. You're a joke of a mother. I can't wait for you to answer to God. You're nothing but a child abuser. I mean, to stop that kind of rhetoric in the relationship would help. Absolutely.
You know, this is inexcusable. I agree with that. This is not right, and I am ashamed of that. I'm not right. That's not right. But this is not out of the blue. This is after having, and everybody can judge me all they want. Judge me all you want, but this is.
Okay, are you really want to spend your time defending this?
No. No, I just told you. I know that's not right, but
okay.
there's a long history that pushes anybody over the cliff.
But so you do want to spend your time defending it?
I just told you that's something I can stop.
Okay.
But again. Well,
I mean, no, seriously, do you really want to be right so bad?
No,
I mean, listen, did I take her to task on the schools? Did I take her to task on blocking the contact? Did I take her to task on all of those things or not? It's not like this is a one-sided story here.
Exactly.
And did you not hear me taking her to task on those things?
A little bit.
A little. Okay. Okay, so we've got this, and that's not something that you are proud of. You say there's a but there.
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
But my opinion doesn't seem to matter.
Okay, you know what? If you want to be the victim, we're done.
I'm here to fix. Well, okay, we can be done.
You got a restraining order, and you took it to your daughter's school. They were informed that a parent was chasing their daughter through the school.
There was no chasing her through the school.
So this is a lie. do you want to do this, or do you want to be a right fighter?
I've told you repeatedly, I don't care about being right.
Then why do you keep arguing to be right?
Because I too have a perspective. I have a perspective. This is all inflammatory, and yes, that comes, and again, that's not right, but this comes from 25 years of keeping my mouth shut and being pushed over the cliff. This isn't just off the top of my head abusive, just being
Okay.
abusive.
Your question
there's
to-
a long series of events that have pushed me over that cliff that I think anybody would feel much the same way.
Okay.
Is that not fair to
No,
say?
that's okay. Sure. Okay, I acknowledge that.
And I acknowledge that I'm wrong in doing that. I'm embarrassed about that.
I acknowledge there's a 25-year history that has pushed you to the brink and agitated you to the point of doing some of the things you've done. What else would you like me to say?
Nothing.
No, I'm serious. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm serious.
I just, as long as you understand that is not my character, that is not who I am. But yes, I've been in unbelievable pain over this for 6 years. And I think most people would feel the same way that I do.
Okay.
That's all.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. You asked me if there was anything that you had done that I thought you could change. And you got a restraining order, correct?
Yes.
And you took it to your daughter's school to tell her about it.
Correct.
And this says that they were informed that a parent was chasing their daughter through the school, located Brian standing outside the bathroom. Daughter was inside the bathroom. He told the daughter about the order, which made her upset, and they began to argue. The daughter took off running.
This does not include the fact that the principal was there, that the school police officer was there. There was no chasing her through the school.
So this is a lie.
No, that's not a lie, but that's not the whole story. I did not chase anybody through the school. And yes, there was a restraining order, and I had the responsibility, based on that restraining order, to collect my daughter from school that day. How should I have handled that? I don't know.
Not by going to school, which is her social domain, and taking a domestic situation public with her in the arena.
But this...
In retrospect, don't you wish you had not done that?
I don't know
Don't
how...
you wish you had chatted her up privately about that?
The situation was not such that I could chat her up at all. At all. She has completely, at that point, erased me, and it just wasn't like that. It wasn't. I didn't have that opportunity. I couldn't. How was I supposed to get her? Here I have now a restraining order that the courts recognize that she's in, as the court says, immediate and irreparable harm if left with Libby. So how am I to go about that? I can't go to the house and get her. I have a non-cooperative counter-parent there. How else could I have done that? So I'm working with the school counselor. It's not like I'm this dad running to the school and chasing her through the school. I'm working with the school counselor and the principal.
Do you think
and
that
everybody
endeared
that's
you to her?
involved. No, I've been non-endeared to her for a long time.
So that didn't endear you to her?
No.
Did it make you feel better?
No. The whole thing makes me sick. But what am I to do?
Not that.
What?
Not that.
How do I collect my daughter after after the series of events that's caused her to be in this state? See, we haven't even talked about what's brought us to this point.
Well, okay, let's do this. Let's just go down here and take a look at what the court has said. The court has said expectations for you: avoid victim thinking, which encourages anger and withdrawal in response to conflict. Make an apology to the children, taking responsibility for each of the children's concern. improve parenting skills such as empathy, nurturing, flexibility, while avoiding critical and demanding behavior. Learn to avoid making critical comments about the preferred parent to the child, arguing that the child has been brainwashed. Those were the court's expectations. They're not mine. That's what the court said.
Custody evaluator, yeah.
As an officer of the court.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You want to argue about that?
No, I'm not arguing. No.
Yes, you are. I said the court said. You said, well, custody evaluator.
Yeah. These are recommendations from the custody evaluator.
Which is an officer of the court.
Yes. Yes, I understand that.
You could do those things.
Yes. And I am working on those things.
That was the first time you declared this to be open warfare.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
You're inside, he's outside, and you say, get a lawyer, buddy. You have children that have said that there's been a protective order that said that you have gotten angry and been mentally abusive and grabbed your minor daughter, which is physical abuse.
Yeah. Pretty sad allegations.
Doesn't mean it's true.
That's exactly right.
But it's a perception.
That's exactly right.
And
Doesn't mean that it's true.
And I acknowledge that. I'm just saying, but that's what this is deteriorated to.
Yeah, that is a perception. They have all kinds of perceptions that are not true.
Mm-hmm. And there was an incident that started it all.
Okay.
Right? So let's take a look at that. This is 11/4/12. This is against her. Brian, trying to pick up his daughter and ex-wife, would not allow it. Children inside the apartment complex wouldn't answer the door, knew we were outside. Libby had changed the children's school without telling him. Libby was uncooperative, stated would not be allowing the children to go with Brian. It was informed to Brian to get a lawyer. Okay? That was the first time that you declared this to be open warfare. Mm. Correct? Mm-hmm. And when he says there's a history to all of this, that's part of the history he's talking about, right?
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
You're inside, he's outside, and you say, get a lawyer, buddy.
Yeah.
But yet you say, no, I haven't done anything to sabotage this.
Right.
I don't care how flat you make a pancake, it's got two sides.
Yes, it does.
And there are other things as well. We can take a look at that. These are 87 reasons Brian presented to the court to obtain restraining orders. And you can go through this list, and some of this perception, some of it's reality. Ignored 54 right of refusal written requests. That means if you don't have a babysitter, he gets to be that, right?
Right.
But and so he says, I want to do that. You ignored 54 written requests, ignored 24 out of 27 written requests confirming girls being cared for, ignored 16 written requests asking daughters to call him. I mean, schedules activities during his parenting time, repeatedly blocks him from communication. Jessica failed 41% of her classes, made 2 life-threatening decisions in your care, moved daughters and refused new address for 2 months. All of these things go on and on and on, which is what he's talking about is the history that precedes all of this behavior that makes you look like you're not making good choices. You think I don't do my homework? You think I don't get this? I get it. I know. I read every piece of paper you sent, and it was a lot. Now, have I represented it here? I get it. Seriously, you're aggressive and you're passive aggressive.
Right.
And the children pick up the tab for both of you.
Hey, I could explain to you some of those, but it's not worth it.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not worth it for either one of you.
Right.
Both of you are impeachable as contributing to the fragmentation of this family. What I want to talk about is what we have to do to stop it. Because at some point you have to say, I'm going to hit the reset button and we start from here forward. Not even God can change what has happened, but you start from here and you move forward. But that takes somebody's being able to say, you know, it's a new day. Brian says all he wants to do is sit down and look his children in the eyes and ask, what did I do to you? Well, will his children give him that chance? Does it really matter? We're going to talk about that after the break. You have alienated these kids on your own.
How's that? I have not included my children in this divorce. Have I? Have I?
Closed captioning provided by you feel like you've been erased from your kids' lives. And I think that I've acknowledged to you that she has intentionally or otherwise, I think it's some of both, has been very passive-aggressive in some things that have sabotaged you. I think you're greatly underestimating yourself and your presence and your value in these kids' lives. And one thing I think you probably have come to realize is a parent can win a popularity contest in the moment, but as kids get older and mature and realize they were manipulated or programmed, intentionally or otherwise, the day's going to come where they're going to say, well, why did you do that? Why did you manipulate my dad out of my life? And you don't want to be in that situation. And the more angry you've gotten, the more frustrated you've gotten, the more you have just become so easy to provoke that you've done things that have just
Out of character.
sabotaged yourself.
Yeah.
I've talked to your children, and they tell me they make the better argument for you than you could ever make for yourself, because they say that's not who you are.
That's right.
But they say that's who you've become.
Unfortunately, that's true.
And you have alienated these kids on your own. I'm not saying she hasn't helped, but you've done some things that have really made these kids worried.
How's that?
You wrote an email to your daughter about somebody pulling somebody's head back and slitting their throat and said, here, this is your dream. Why don't you just do this with me? Isn't this your dream? You sent that to your daughter?
Yeah.
Now, come on.
I know. I've told
Would you say, what do you mean? That's what I mean,
I've
kind of
made
stuff.
a bunch of mistakes.
But they don't think that's who you are. They think that's who you're becoming, and that's what I mean when I say you need to stop.
I do have a perspective, and I do have an explanation. So why is that not acceptable for me to express that opinion? You're right. I am upset, but I'm not upset at my children. I have not included my children in this divorce. I have not conveyed. Have I? Have I? No, nobody.
You know, they've been drug into this by the two of you, by the conduct of the two of you.
I have not shared half, 90% of the stuff that I get from me to my kids. I have not included them in this divorce on any level like she has. Not on any level, by any stretch of the imagination, have I included these kids. Yes, I'm angry at her. I'm angry at her because I've watched all 5 of my children now crash, go from being a happy, successful, tight-knit, loving family to watching my children make bad decisions because they're in such pain and so confused.
That's all my fault?
So am I angry? It is your fault if you bring these kids into a divorce. How is it ever acceptable to share divorce?
Do you think these kids have no ability to think for themselves?
I know that they have that ability, but they also have
a love for a mother who is poisoning them and has poisoned them.
They love you,
and
too.
They have been you have been told.
They love you.
You have been told repeatedly by countless therapists that I could name that you have, in fact, DCFS, didn't DCFS come and do an investigation on both of us? Mm-hmm. What did they say? They came back and said, Brian, we can find no evidence whatsoever that you've abused your kids emotionally, physically, sexually, in any way. However, Libby, we recognize that you have completely destroyed the relationship with Anna, particularly, and the other two younger girls. That you've completely destroyed that relationship with their dad.
I asked those two kids if they wanted a relationship with you to be standing on the other side of that door, and you're going to get a clear answer whether you've been erased or whether you haven't. So open the door.
Closed captioning provided by
You know, I ask your kids because they came here very anguished about what to do. They really did. And they're not here, but I made a promise to them that I was going to do everything I could do to get both of you to stop what you're doing and say nothing matters other than building a bridge and having that relationship. And they said, you won't own it and you will argue till you're blue in the face. And I said, well, no, give me a shot. Give me a shot. They thanked me for stopping you before you came out here and trying to kind of put a body check on you attitude-wise to look at this differently. And I said, if you feel like there's a chance, if you feel like there's hope, if you want that relationship and you're willing to work at it, then I want you to be prepared to step up as adults and claim it. And you say you've been erased. Come with me one more time. Every time you go with me, you hate it. But I asked those two kids to be completely honest with me and listen to everything that we had to say. And I told them at this point, if they wanted a relationship with you, to be standing on the other side of that door. And if they didn't, this was a chance for them to tell you once and for all what they wanted. And you're going to get a clear answer whether you've been erased or whether you haven't. So open the door. So tell me why you chose to be standing there.
Because I want more than anything a healthy relationship with my dad. Because I love him. And I've always loved him. Even through all this, I'm willing to look past every fault and have a healthy relationship with him.
What do you miss about your dad?
Everything. I miss his happy self. I miss his silly dad jokes.
Hey, those are good jokes. Why were you standing there?
The same thing. I just
Look him in the eye and tell him.
I miss having a good, productive, healthy relationship with you. Being able to look to you and, and ask you for advice and the things I need at this stage of my life. It would be nice to, have you there for all of that.
There's nothing that I want more than all of this. It's why it's so difficult for me. That's why I'm angry, because this is all so unnecessary. And this is not right. There's nothing to justify this division that has come to our family.
Tell them you want to start now. The hell with what's happened. You want to start now.
Absolutely want to start now. Yeah, there's no question. I don't like airing our dirty laundry in front of anybody, let alone the world. But I did this out of love and respect for you, because I want this so desperately. And I don't know what else to do. I just don't know what else to do.
Well, if we sit down and they tell you what they want from you, what they need from you at this point in their life, you'll really hear that, right?
Absolutely.
Because you want to be long on ears and short on mouth, and you want to really hear, right? It's time to listen to them, because they want to tell you. Mm-hmm. There's going to be no comment about anything that's happened before right this minute. Everything forward looking. We'll be right back. Well, we're back with Brian, Libby, Anna, and Nate. I just made the comment to Brian, I only have them over here so he can make eye contact. This looks like a firing squad, but it's not. That's not the intention, and we can scramble these chairs at any time, but I just wanted you to be able to see each other. So that's why it's set up this way. Now, I have a rule, and we're going to follow my rules, my show. Look around. See the name on the wall? My name, my show. We get to do this the way I want to. I don't want any reference to anything that's happened before the end of this sentence. I want to talk just about future. Just about future. You talked about what you miss in your relationship with your dad. What do you want going forward? What would you like to have in your relationship with your dad going forward?
A healthy, positive relationship with you.
What would you like to do? I mean, let's put some verbs in this. What would you like to do? How would you like to spend time with him? What kind of things would you like to talk to him about?
My life. I don't feel like you know anything about my life, my marriage.
And you would like for him to?
I want to be able to share the happy moments with you. Call you when I have sad moments.
And when you do call him, what do you want from him?
Just love, positivity, a normal conversation. We haven't had a normal conversation without my mom being brought up or you expressing to me how angry you are, and I can't be that person for you.
Mm-hmm. We're talking about going forward here. So you're saying you want to be able to have a conversation without anger and venting. What would it mean to you to be around these two and not feel tension?
It'd be a miracle.
Is that a gift that you can give to your daughter? Mm-hmm. Is that a gift you can give to your daughter?
Yep.
What would that feel like if you knew you could do that? If you knew you were having an event and they could both show up and you didn't have to be looking and wondering, oh God, is this going to be a meltdown? What would that mean to you?
That would be awesome. That would be everything, really. That's
all we want.
Yeah.
And what's it feel like to you two to know that the thing they want most in life, you have the ability to give them? You have the ability to make that gift to them. What do you think about that? The thing they want most, you have the ability to give them.
Yeah, and I have a responsibility to do that.
Yeah. And the ability. I mean, you can, it's not like he's asking you to get taller. It's not like he's asking you to, you know, all of a sudden do some miracle. All you have to do is just be civil and run their agenda instead of your own. That's all it really takes to make them happy, which seems like a small thing. Doesn't mean it's easy, but it's a doable thing, right?
Yep.
My final thoughts when we come back.
Closed captioning provided by...
Earlier, I sat down with Nate and Anna when you guys were back in the other room. And I was asking them if they ever felt like they were kind of betraying one or the other of you if they spent time with one versus the other. And they were saying, well, yeah, it kind of feels awkward like that. And I was explaining to them a way I wanted them to think about that. And we have just a little short clip of that. Let's take a look at what we talked about. Because you love them out of different accounts, don't you? Mm-hmm. You got a dad account and a mom account.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And loving dad 100% does not take one penny out of the mom account.
Right.
And loving mom 100% doesn't take one penny out of the dad account. They don't get that. That's what I want to try to get across to them.
Thank you.
Robin and I had a son, Jay, and we didn't have our second son until 7 years later. You know, you love a child so much, you think you could never love your second child as much. You think you're supposed to, but you can't. And then when they come, you do. And our boys are different as daylight and dark, but the second one comes and you love that one as much as the first one. These are our boys, Jay and Jordan. And you love them as much as you did the first one, and you think, how can that be possible? Well, it's because you love them out of different accounts, right? You have a Nate account, and you have an Anna account, and it doesn't cost you anything to love your mom 100%. You're not betraying your dad one iota to be absolutely loyal to your mother 100%. It doesn't cost your mom one iota for you to be 100% loyal to your dad. That's not at your mother's expense because they're two separate accounts. You really can hit the reset button. And somebody needs to be a hero and say, it's a new day and I am going to be sickeningly lovable. And you're kind of intense. Be intensely lovable. I mean, just start a new day. Start a whole new account. I mean, you're sitting here with your son. That door flew open and they were both standing there for you. Honor that. You've not damaged it. Honor this with having a new start here. Fair enough?
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay. All right, I want to thank all of my guests today, and if you have a question for me, you please go to drphil.com, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and don't forget to subscribe to my new podcast called Fill in the Blanks. That's PHIL in the blanks. We have a lot of fun there, which sometimes here we have to work on stuff. There I just get to be fun. We'll see you next time.